are here live in San Antonio with the Conversation Among Masters. We are streaming worldwide right now, sharing the exquisite conversations, a taste of those conversations. Our guest today is Robbie Richman. He is with Zappos International. He is a manager, which is not really telling you what he does at Zappos. It is a remarkable company, sharing its wisdom. It is done so well that people are looking at your management model, looking at what you guys do to understand. Why are they looking at you?
Well, it all started really organically because we created a culture where people love to work. We felt that if we could get the culture right, everything else would really go right. And created such a fun, challenging place to be that vendors would come visit, and then they'd invite their friends. And then those friends would tell other friends. And then thousands of people would end up coming to visit. And they'd want meetings with our different groups to find out how we do what we do. And people were just fascinated. How could people be having so much fun and be profitable at the same time?
Did you have conversations about corporate secrets and how we have to keep this great success to ourselves? Did that go on in your boardrooms at all?
No, in fact, we believe it's the opposite. We believe that by sharing it, we get to keep it. It keeps us in high integrity. It keeps it so that we're on display, so we have to live those values. And it also makes it so that we really appreciate it. When we see thousands of faces coming through who are very wide-eyed and wondering, it makes it very hard to take it for granted. And we found that culture is something we welcome people to just take it and run with it and do whatever they'd like with it. We find that culture ends up being so unique to every organization because all culture is people, and you can't take the exact same people out of our organization. So the conversation around culture is really more what's surrounding it. It'll be a different culture by definition just because it's different people. So we're willing to share how we create that.
It seems to me that you've had a lot of success, but your people are wacky and weird and funny. Mm-hmm. Is there a correlation between wacky, weird self-expression and success?
We believe there is, because the way we see it is that people who don't get to be fully self-expressed are actually spending a lot of energy to not be themselves, and it's actually a drain. And that personality alignment isn't really what's important. Values alignment is, but people just being free to express themselves and what they're interested in and who they are is, it actually creates a lot more creativity and energy in the organization.
Well, we're going to be taking questions from some of those Conversation Among Masters people, these mm-hmm. great coaches, master coaches who gathered here in San Antonio. You've been taking questions all day. You can handle some more?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's have a question. Just stand up and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Smith, and I'm wondering, with all the conversations we're having in the workplace about generations, is your culture only attracted to a certain generation?
No, our average age is about 35, spans from anything from late teens to upper 60s. And what we find is that it's really about a psychographic, if you will, over a demographic, and that there are many different personalities, many different ages, but they're all aligned according to those values. So we take painstaking approaches to make sure that we're getting people who are aligned by values, and that, we've got somebody on my team is 21 years old, and she's doing our operations right now. So she seems like a lot older than she is, and we have older people who act like kids. And a whole mix of in between. So we're finding that it's a real beacon to attract people who live this kind of lifestyle and this type of mindset and values that we do, which attracts across generations.
Just take a mic and stand up.
Hi, my name is Duana. Can you tell us more about the coaching program that you have created at Zappos?
Sure. So we've created we call it the goals department. It's all about life coaching and any kind of coaching. What we believe is that if somebody's there to fulfill their dreams, they're going to stay there forever. So even though a lot of the jobs are a call center job, which is associated with high turnover, if people can come to our work every day and feel like they're getting both their professional and personal goals fulfilled, then it's ultimately better for things like turnover. So what we've done is created a life coaching program, and our coach went to CTI training and became the full-time goals coach. And I think the interesting thing about it was how we really rolled it out. Because we didn't just say, train somebody and say, hey, who wants to be coached. It was really a story that we had to create. We first limited the number of people who could do it. And we said, it's only for these first 10 people. And we had them apply and made sure that we got the best, most active people such that at the end of it we could say, wow, take a look at this, 10 people accomplished their goals, and look at what they did, and then expanded it further. So it did a whole marketing rollout to socialize it in the organization. Part of my research in creating the program was I studied other programs going on in places like Deloitte, Intuit, other companies that were creating coaching programs. And what was interesting was one of the companies I approached said that they had cut a lot of their coaches. And I said, is it because of ROI, the lack of the return on investment? And she was adamant and said, no, we proved to them that there was a strong ROI. It's just that it was an easy line item to cut on the budget. And what I realized going into that was that the coaching in an organization needs to become a part of the mythology, a part of the story, such that people would uprise if it were cut. But if it's in the shadows, if just people are getting benefits here and there, but it's not socialized and heard, then it's easy to cut because there is no potential for that group saying, wait a minute, where's our coaching program? So that whole model of internal marketing and socializing the concept and really spreading the wins and having celebrations such that it became part of the fabric of the culture itself was key to creating a life coaching program at Zappos.
People listening to you might think that you are here to promote Zappos, but listening to you all day, one senses you have a personal mission and that you have a mission to help the world in some way. What is that?
It's a good question. I definitely do. It's really about waking up the world and just seeing how much potential there is. And for me, having been a coach and seeing what that potential is, the idea of working with organizations on that level is like turning the leverage up times 300, because so many people go to work every day and they spend more time in the waking hours than they do with family oftentimes. So as a potential platform for a shift in the world, companies are an incredible place to do that. And I get to do that not only at Zappos, but through Zappos Insights, carrying that into the world. We're actually training other companies how to create a coaching program. So it's just truly an honor to be able to witness that and seeing companies one by one kind of like waking up to a different model that is really enriching people's lives and at the same time still promoting their business.
It would seem to me that some of the old line ideas about hierarchy, structure, managed by object, all of these ideas seem to be in the way or in conflict. How do you get through to a senior executive who is looking at the people having fun in the aisles at Zappos? How do you get them to see that there's another model? Is it just ROI that makes them pay attention?
No, because people are starting to see that the ROI extends on a much longer timeline than they're used to. So when you start figuring in attrition rates and when people are quitting and turnover costs, and you start to look at the business on a 10-year scale rather than a 1-year scale, then they start to get it. Then you start to see figures like that we have only a 9% year-over-year turnover in an industry that's used to 100%. And you start doing the math on that, and you see, wait a minute, okay, happy employees really does make a difference here on the bottom line. And once they start to get that mindset, it's different for each person. Somebody's going to be more of a metrics, numbers-driven person. Another one will be motivated by creating a strong community. It's whatever that reference point is, and we can usually align it to culture to say, oh, that's your goal, oh, that's what you're committed to. Well, here's how the culture is either going to support that or tear it down. And then it becomes a larger conversation of what works for culture, which directly aligns to that goal.
Any other questions? Ooh.
Yes, Rob. I'm Mike Martorella, and I'm an executive coach. And my question is about sustainability. And Zappos, Google, Facebook, let's call it that generation of companies who have attracted youth with bright ideas and self-expression and platforms where they can do that. What about those companies that are results-driven, particularly by Wall Street, where quarter to quarter the results are what matters to not just the company, the CEO, and the people in those positions, as well as the stockholders and the reputation of a company. What do you see as the migration of what you're talking about into the I'll call it culture of those, let's call them Fortune 50 companies?
What is the, what is the migration?
The migration of what you and what you've done at Zappos and what some of the other companies of this generation, new companies, have been able to do, and how to move that culture, or that sense of need for that culture, into the Fortune 50 companies.
Can I just make it a little shorter? You know, what's been the impact on those straight guys from Wall Street that operate on a quarterly report?
Yeah, what's interesting is in places like the New York Times, there are articles coming out from certain large companies and certain large investment banks of people who are essentially outing the culture, who are saying, look, this is not the place it used to be. It's really going downhill, and you're starting to see these stories more in the media. And it's becoming more and more clear, this connection is drawing clearer and clearer and clearer between culture and these outputs. I mean, you see stories even like how Walmart is, talk about sustainability just from the green perspective, the way they are becoming a lot more green to save money. And the byproduct of it is that they're more environmentally friendly. But they are drawing this connection more. And I think there's a lot of companies out there that are starting to see this. And they're really starting to see it when their strategies fail. That, wait a minute, why didn't this work? And they can see it's the culture. And they see that they can't control people. The best that you can hope for is to fire somebody, and that's all the control you have, which actually hurts your own productivity. So as they say, wait a minute, business is all about what works. And the business person, if it works, they're willing to abandon even their own belief system to do that. And now that these models are really being proven that they do work, we're seeing more and more businesses start to focus on culture and adopt that.
Please.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and you spoke a lot about, and we experienced a lot about experience. So can you talk more about how experience and the role it plays in doing what you do in the corporate environment as well as on a personal level?
Sure, wow. To recap what we talked about earlier was that experience is everything, because if you think about any product or service, there are very few that we absolutely must have. There's food, there's water, there's very few actual real commodities. Everything else is a desire, is a want. And people want those based on, it really comes down to a feeling. Why do you want that BMW? Why do you want that piece of clothing? Why do you want anything? And it comes down to, this is the feeling I have when I use it, or when I drive it, or when I experience it. And that the gateway to any feeling is through an experience. And so what I think that we've become really adept at is experience engineering. And for example, one of the things we do is we stop the call center, an entire corporate office, for 4 times a year for 5 hours, and rent out a big Vegas theater, and do everything from dance numbers, music and singing, video sketches and pranks, to the company announcements. And 5 hours goes by like that. And man, there must be a lot of money we spend on it, but the amount of morale increase that happens as a result of it is just amazing. And we tell stories about that, and people hear about how legendary this is. And it's amazing how much it makes no sense on a bottom line level in a lot of ways. But my belief is that what we're talking about here in the nature of experience is that these things are going, the direct lines are going to come in. So, for example, turn of the age factory times. That was when people were cranking out widgets. The whole idea was, why would you ever give somebody time off? Like, they're not going to be cranking widgets out. It was just insane, that idea of paying people for vacation and to take breaks. Now it's completely common sense. So my belief going into this is that as people see, both on a corporate level of the experience, as well as to when you're having a customer service issue, it's becoming so important. If you've ever had a really negative customer service experience, it feels completely dehumanizing. And it's not even about the money. It's like a small amount of money, but for that 2 hours, it's like you felt hostage. Like they were holding you hostage, and that you felt like trapped in a cage. And it's almost like it violates who we are as human beings. And what we've seen is that by focusing on creating a better experience, is that key leverage factor.
The vision you have for the world. Let's give you a hard question. Without it being in any way political. What about our big bureaucracies that manage our world? Can these concepts work in hospital institutions, in government offices, in teachers' staff rooms? Can this same joy work in those areas?
It's a great question. I know that there's been a lot of interest expressed from those groups, and there are stories, and one of them is in Tribal Leadership about a hospital changing over, another in the book Power of Habit, of how they can engineer that experience difference. And because at the end of the day, any organization is just people. So, one of the biggest lessons I learned, and this was oddly when I was auditioning for The Apprentice. I went to a 4 a.m. in the middle of a big parking lot in D.C. in the dead of winter. It was almost like in the single digits of the temperature. And what was crazy to me was staying out there. I had a blast. Like we were just huddled up, dead freezing, but we kept cracking jokes that were so funny. Like we just could not stop laughing. And I couldn't believe that this situation, where if you take a look at it, it just seems like the most awful thing. 4 a.m, 5 degrees out, standing there for 3 hours. It just seems awful, but we were able to actually create culture there of a different feeling, of a different mindset, to enjoy it and say we can create our own experience here. So it's my belief that people in any organization can do that if you let go of certain things and just say, okay, well, what is it we're in control of right now that we can experience? Because
you are a human being, I think it's time to let you be free and have enough, because I want to honor what you're saying, which is honor that condition that has fun and lives and goes off and does wonderful things. So we're going to bring our program to an end. We're going to bring up Fred Johnson, but we want to give you a warm thank you for just the way you gave yourself at the Conversation Among Masters here in San Antonio, and wish you well in all your future endeavors. So thank you so much, Robert Richman.
Thank you for having me.
Really.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Come on up, Fred. And now, for our viewers, we have a special treat. When you come to the Conversation Among Masters, you really don't know what you're going to experience. The creators of this organization believe deeply in the concept of surprise. Well, they gave us a gift in Fred Johnson. Now, I could never really tell you who he is, but I will tell you that he is the keeper of the breath. He is a master singer and performer and storyteller of event. And all through CAM, he gave us the gift of framing what we do with wonderful music, wonderful words, but most importantly, his integrity and heart. So I want you to not work so much right now, but tell us, what is the keeper of the breath? What is that about?
Keeper of the breath is it's a philosophy and a concept that I learned from an amazing teacher from Ghana, West Africa. His name was Jimo Kuyate. Actually, two teachers. Jimo Kuyate was my teacher, my voice teacher, and he was from Senegal. But Kwame Ishange was a drummer and a storyteller. And the keeper of the breath is an interesting philosophy. It's like we have a lot of conversations with other people, and we're constantly sort of processing ourselves into taking a look at what are the things that are different about us. We tend to look at our differences. And if I had a dime for every time somebody said to me, oh, I can't sing, my voice, oh, if you heard my voice, or I heard my voice on tape and I hate my voice. And so we really have this whole process around the voice. So the basic philosophy of the keeper of the breath is that we all share in one unique experience. We all breathe from the same source. We're all a part of that life source. We're part of that life, that kingdom of the breath. Most people think that the voice, or when we create sound, it starts when, as a little baby, we come through the birth canal and we come into the world, and our first sound is, and we cry for the very first time. But the fact of the matter is, our first song is the song of the breath. And so as you're prepared to come through the birth canal, you come through the birth canal and you go, but you hear that first sound is the breath. And so the keepers, the gatekeepers of the breath, are those of us who travel and journey and remind people that we have that common song. And I encourage people to never ever say that you don't sing, because that song of the breath is the melody that we sing from the very moment that we come into the physical life until we make our transition into the next level of existence. And so the keepers of the breath sing and communicate and listen and remind people that we have a unity in our journey together. There are three elements, sort of the stair steps to the journey of the breath. One is this cycle of breath and being connected to breath. And so what Kwame Ashangi said to me is, whenever you enter a room, enter the room and allow yourself to be connected to the ocean of the breath, to the people that are there with you. Don't go into the room with an expectation. Go into the room and understand that you are a part of that ocean of breath. And allow yourself to be a speaker of, or allow yourself to be a journeyer of the breath, to create a connection with everyone in the room, and to allow them to feel the essence of who they are through the breath. Because regardless of what your philosophies are, you might differ. No, I've never, ever been in a situation in a room where people were so much in odds with each other until they did this and refused to breathe each other's breath, because we are one, whether we acknowledge it or not. So the keepers of the breath are the keepers of that story and reminding people of the importance of that connection.
So I can't really put you on the spot because you live in the breath. So could you sing us out as we close this wonderful live stream for CAM and say a goodbye and a thank you to our wonderful audience?
Sure. So just imagine in this perfect moment now, everyone who came here to San Antonio to CAM, and everyone in the world who listens to us now. You and I, we are one, whatever we do and wherever we go. And there's a massive conglomeration of coaches at CAM who can help to guide your pathway in life, to help you realize who you desire to be and achieve all that you desire to achieve. But I believe, Phyllis, that as sure as we're here right now, that there's one simple way to change the world, and I'll simply show you how. If we breathe together, choose to be together, honor you, honor me together, then one day we will realize, just like Robbie says, that whatever you got to give, give it with laughter and joy. Be a little weird if you choose, 'cause that's what makes the journey of life wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. You can see this again on conversationamongmasters.com, and watch out for Conversation Among Masters 2013. Take care.